Adventures with Microsoft Word Copilot number 3. Greetings. I was contemplating writing a story about a young man who meets the one-eyed, one-horned flying purple people eater when, on a whim, I tossed it to the Copilot function in Microsoft Word. I was surprised. After I read that one, I ran some other prompts by it and decided to record them. This is the third such experiment. So, for your listening and dancing pleasure, The Temptation of the Merrow. Enchantment and mystery beneath the waves. Among the swirling tides and the shadowed depths of ancient folklore, the Merrow emerges, an enigmatic creature of the sea whose allure has haunted the dreams of coastal dwellers for centuries. Unlike the more familiar siren or mermaid, the Merrow is rooted in Irish mythology, a being blessed or cursed with an otherworldly beauty and a gentle melancholy. Their legends are woven through the misty harbors and rocky shores where the sea breathes secrets and the moon casts silver webs across the water. Origins and nature of the Merrow. The Merrow, sometimes called the Muirach in Irish, occupies the liminal space between land and sea, humanity and myth. Typically depicted as female, the Merrow possesses long flowing hair of luminous green, seafoam skin, and eyes that shimmer like tide pools at dusk. Her lower half is that of a fish, shimmering with iridescent scales that catch the sun as she glides through the surface. Yet the Merrow is not solely feminine. Traditional tales also speak of Merrow men, although they are said to be less comely, often bearing the briny features of the deep. Both male and female Merrow are believed to wear a magical cap or cloak, sometimes red, sometimes green, that allows them to traverse between their watery kingdom and the world above. Enchantment and lure. It is the temptation of the Merrow that has enchanted poets and storytellers alike. Unlike the destructive song of the siren, the Merrow's allure is gentle, tinged with longing and nostalgia. It is said that their voices, carried by the wind over the cresting waves, can charm sailors and fishermen to the brink of obsession. The Merrow sings not of doom, but of distant places, lost loves, and the eternal rhythms of the ocean. To encounter a Merrow is to feel a tug at the heart, a longing for something unknown, an invitation to step beyond the familiar shores and surrender to the mystery of the deep. In some stories, the Merrow appears at twilight, combing her hair with a shell, her gaze distant and sorrowful. The fisherman who spies her may feel compelled to approach, drawn by an irresistible desire to learn her secrets, to possess her elusive beauty. Legends of love and loss. The core of the Merrow myth is temptation, both literal and metaphorical. Often, tales revolve around a human who steals a Merrow's cap or cloak, depriving her of the means to return to her people beneath the waves. Without it, she is stranded on land, forced into an uneasy union with her captor. For a time, happiness may flourish. The Merrow becomes a loving spouse. Her presence brings prosperity and luck. Yet her heart remains tethered to the ocean, and the temptation to return never fades. Children born of such unions are said to bear the mark of their heritage: webbed fingers, an affinity for the water, or eyes gleaming with the secret knowledge of the sea. These stories rarely end in triumph. Inevitably, the Merrow discovers her stolen garment, reclaiming her freedom, and vanishing into the foam, leaving her human family bereft, but forever changed. The Merrow's song. The central motif of these tales is longing, an ache that defines both the Merrow and those who love her. Her song is not a weapon but a lament for the worlds that divide, for the choices unmade, for the fleeting passage of happiness. Some legends claim the Merrow sings to communicate with dolphins and seals, that her music carries messages between the living and the dead, knitting together the fabric of the two realms. Symbols and interpretations. To interpret the temptation of the Merrow is to dive into the depths of human nature, where the desire for the unknown collides with the fear of loss. The Merrow represents that which is forever out of reach, beauty unclaimed, love unconquered, mystery unsolved. Her cap or cloak embodies the boundary between the ordinary and the magical, the price that must be paid for crossing between worlds. Temptation as transformation. The mythology of the Merrow offers a reflection on transformation. The human who succumbs to her temptation is changed, not just in circumstance, but in spirit. To love a Merrow is to accept the inevitability of loss, to embrace the bittersweet joy of moments that cannot last. The ocean itself becomes a metaphor for longing, vast, unknowable, ever shifting. Warnings and wisdom. Though gentle, the Merrow's temptation is not without peril. Folktales serve as cautionary reminders to respect the boundaries of the natural world and the mysteries it holds. The fisherman who seeks to possess the Merrow may gain brief happiness, but ultimately the balance between land and sea must be restored. The Merrow returns to her element, and those left behind must reckon with the consequences of their desire. Modern echoes of the Merrow legend. The allure of the Merrow endures in contemporary literature, music, and art. Writers have reimagined her story, exploring themes of identity, belonging, and transformation. In poetry, the Merrow's song becomes a voice for those who feel alienated or caught between worlds. In visual art, she appears as a symbol of beauty and sorrow, her form blending seamlessly into waves and kelp. In film and fiction, the Merrow's temptation becomes a metaphor for the choices we make and the desires that shape us. Her story is retold, not only as myth, but as allegory, as the longing for freedom, for the embrace of the unknown, for the return to a place we cannot name. The Merrow in personal mythology. For those who live near the sea, the Merrow is not just a figure of myth, but a companion to their dreams. Her presence lingers in the salt air and the hush of the tides. Children are warned not to linger too long by the water's edge, lest they be drawn away by her song. Yet, adults too feel her pull, reminded of the choices that shape their lives and the mysteries that lie beyond the horizon. Conclusion: the eternal pull. The temptation of the Merrow is a story without end. It is the whisper of the ocean at midnight, the shimmer of scales beneath a cresting wave, the ache of a heart torn between duty and desire. Whether she appears as a blessing or a warning, the Merrow calls us to remember the boundaries that define our lives and to honor the mysteries that lie just beyond them. In the end, to encounter the Merrow is to confront the depths of our own longing for love, for beauty, for the promise of transformation. Her song continues to echo, a reminder that some temptations are neither to be resisted nor embraced, but simply to be understood, like the tides themselves, eternal and ever moving beneath the surface of our dreams. The preceding piece was created entirely with the Copilot AI function in Microsoft Word from a one-sentence prompt I gave it. I gave it a single sentence, and it did the rest. As we look at AI and what it can do for us, and what it may do to us, this experiment is but a small example of the potential of this powerful tool. It is a tool of great power and, like all tools, may be used for good or evil. Unlike a hammer that can sit on the shelf unused for eons, this one is not going away, and it is up to each of us to decide how we use it. Decide wisely. This is Robert Cherny. Please check out my website, Stagewalker Enterprises. Have a great day.